All right, so there's a lot to talk about. Again, we did a video going over this entire What's Next in Raid video. If you want to see that, I'll card to it up there. It was pretty fun. I had a pretty good time making that video, honestly. There's a lot of stuff in this video to talk about, and this was kind of a first reaction to it all. The more that I've kind of absorbed some of this and thought about it, the more I want to come back and talk about some of the individual things. So we've got a few videos to make that I'm going to dedicate to kind of different segments of this. But the first one I wanted to talk about is the empowerment. I feel like this is one of the hot topics, one of the big points of contention. And my initial reaction to it was purely negative, right? I thought I think as a lot of people are feeling, it's the speed. It's the HP, attack, defense, crit rate, crit damage. These things are not that big of a deal. I think when it starts to become a big deal is the speed, the resistance, and the accuracy boost that we're talking about here. That is just going to put certain champs out of range against the same champ that doesn't have the empowerment, right? It's a little bit too far out of range. And I definitely see that there are a lot of problems with this. The more that I've thought about it, the more I wonder how bad it really is. So this is a discussion video. I want to open up the floor in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think about this. I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, in favor of the system, and talk about why maybe it won't be as bad as it seems like it will on the surface. I'm still undecided about how I feel about it ultimately, but I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here and talk about something I thought about earlier today during the stream. And that is that what this does, I wonder if the way that this affects all the different levels of the game will be, for the most part, exclusive to those stages of the game. And what I mean by that is when we talk about the people who live in Platinum Arena, right? When we talk about our Kraken players that are just always at the top, the ones that see each other in Arena all the time, that basically all know each other, whether even if not personally, they see each other in the game enough that they recognize each other. The big spenders that have all the dupes, that have all the gear, that have everything, that are kind of in their own little pocket of the game, right? They're not really engaging much with the rest of the player base in game, right? We're not fighting them in Arena. They're not fighting us in Arena. They're in their own little pocket. So when you're talking about the people that are going to have enough to fully max out a Sifi and fully max out an Arbiter, maybe Arbiter's not the greatest example, but like these top tier legendary champions that you see over and over again in the very high end of Arena, the small pocket of players that are going to be able to fully empower those champs are still going to be in that same group, right? Perhaps there's a couple of people that were a little bit lower that now maybe have a chance to participate in that group a little more, but it's not, I don't think that's trickling down very far. So your Krakens are still your Krakens. They're still so far separated from the rest of the player base that I don't know that it's that big of a deal, honestly. Anybody that was ever going to catch up to that group and join that group anyway is probably someone who will eventually be in this situation, who spends enough money to end up with enough of these dupes that it will allow them entry into that group anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it matters too much there. I think it makes the Kraken world a little bit more interesting. It gives them a little bit more variation, and that's fine, right? They need updates too. The Krakens need updates and interesting things to be going on too. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Then if we come down a little bit and talk about like high end or just Gold 4 in general, again, there's a much broader variation of players. You do have free to play players in Gold 4. My free to play account's in Gold 4. My main account that has, $15,000 plus in it is also in Gold 4. There's going to be big variations like that. But I think ultimately, with the big variations that come in that group, it's still going to be about the same, roughly. I'm sure there's going to be some changes, and you're going to get, you're going to get caught off guard. I don't know if you're going to be able to see when champs are empowered. Like in your champ box, like if this empowerment went through with Molly, she'd have a little +4 on her portrait. I don't know if you'll be able to see enemies, how much they're empowered. Maybe that would be useful since it's in essence affecting their base stats, and you already have access to the champ's base stats. I don't feel like that would be giving away too much information. So maybe that would be a useful way to go about doing that. But again, I think there's enough players in gold. And again, I'm not speaking on the state of Arena. I still think Arena needs to be stretched out a bit. I think we need more tiers in Platinum. We may even need one exclusive tier above Platinum, but I think Platinum needs to be stretched out a little bit more. I think Arena is still a little bit too crammed together, but I think maybe it's not going to be that big of a deal, right? Again, there's going to be people who got very lucky with this. There's going to be people that have 4 or 5 CFs lying around that aren't in the Kraken group. There's going to be people that are going to benefit more so than this from others. But it's also kind of a long-term system. I don't know. I think I can still see problems with it. I understand the concerns about it. I just wonder if maybe it's a hard knee jerk and maybe it's not going to be as bad as we think it is. And I think maybe it's worth a discussion at least. I mean, I reckon it'll be here soon, and we'll get to see how it implements, and we'll get to see how it plays, and what kind of impact it truly has. I don't think there's going to be that many people that have enough to max out key champs. There will be people, but I don't think it's going to be just wide. I don't think the game's going to become infested with maxed out CFs and maxed out Krisks and all these really hard champs to deal with. I just don't think we're going to see that as broadly as we think we are. On my account that has 15 grand plus in it, the only champ I've ever had 5 of was Martyr. I did feed one of them a long time ago, being silly in the stream. But I've got 4 Martyrs, so I can't even fully empower a Martyr, and I've got 4. There's like 2 or 3 Legos that I have 4 of. So I can't even fully empower anybody, and I've got a shit ton of money in the game, and the only legendary I've ever fed was Martyr, was my 5th Martyr, right? So I just don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as maybe it feels like it is right now. I'm of course open to the discussion, and I'm not fully saying that I don't think there's a problem here. Again, I just kind of wanted to play devil's advocate and chat a little bit about something that popped in my head earlier. So I'm interested to know what you guys think about it, where you're at with it. Do you feel like it's like we're giving a really hard reaction to something that maybe might not be that big of a deal, or do you think it's going to be a bigger deal than it even seems like it's going to be? Do you think it's just going to just run rampant through the game and become a huge problem and make it even more impossible for certain accounts at certain points in the game to climb, out of wherever they're sitting in Arena? The flip side to this too is that like it's tough because it's virtually paywalled, right? I mean, the odds that you're ever going to get 5 of the same dupe as a free-to-play player seem like they should be astronomically low. So as a free-to-play player, you very likely won't ever fully empower anyone. I don't know. I'm interested if there's any free-to-play players in here that can fully empower anybody once the system drops. And I don't like that. In that sense, it's problematic because there's no way to farm it, right? When Marvel Strike Force dropped their Red Star system, which is very similar to this, it was a huge problem because there was one way to do it and it was basically paywalled, right? Since the release of that, they've made a lot of adjustments to it. Now it's farmable to a degree. It's grindy, but it's farmable. You know what I mean? There's other ways to go about obtaining this extra power in your champions. And currently, there's nothing like that. And I think that's a big problem with this system. I have a really big problem with anything in the game inherently being paywalled like that. I think if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to solve the problems and you're willing to grind, I think everything should be obtainable ultimately. Maybe it's a little tougher in Raid to come up with a way to do that. And maybe that's something they'll try to do over time. Maybe they'll take some feedback here. I don't know. I do have a problem with that being the case, right? I do think everything should ultimately be farmable, even if it takes a really, really long time, right? If you're willing to commit to it, I think you should be able to get anything in the game. So I don't know, man. It's still a mix of emotions. I see all the potential problems here. I just wonder if maybe they're not as big as it seems like they are. So, very interested in the discussion on this one. I want to know what you guys think. And we're going to talk about other stuff. This video is just on the empowerment system. There's still other stuff about the dupe system I want to talk about, but I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to split this up into a few. There's going to be quite a few discussion videos coming out this week. Because I want to know. I want to know where everybody's at with it, aside from just the noise being made. You know what I mean? The noise of the initial drop of the information. I want to hear some thought behind why everybody feels the way they feel, other than just that this sucks and we hate it and we're mad, which is not invalid, just to be clear. I just want to hear why, because I feel like there's a tendency with Raid, self-inflicted by them, of course, but there's a tendency to just kind of always have a generally negative feeling about anything they do. Again, their fault, but that's still the way it is. So I'm just interested in the discussion. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this video up here. We're going to talk about a lot more this week, and probably in the weeks to come. But I wanted to start it here because I feel like this is one of the hottest topics. So that's it. Engage with me, man. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to be in these comments pretty heavily. So let me know where you're at with all this. I'm excited to hear it. And yeah, that's it, man. I'll catch y'all later.